Hi there, my name is Jack Wallen, and I'm here for another Linux 101. And I have bubble wrap. Don't you love bubble wrap? How can you not? It's so soothing. So I want to do something a little different today. Now, before any of you get up in arms, get angry, and think, oh, he's lost his fool mind, understand this. Number one, this is Linux 101. I have one goal here. That goal is to entice other people to use Linux, especially all those Windows users. We need more people using Linux because you should. And number two, this is kind of, sort of, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, maybe a little bit. But at the same time, there's a lot of truth to what I have to say. Well, what am I going to talk about? Are you ready for it? Now, I'm going to warn you again. Don't get angry at me. Don't jump through the YouTube screen and grab me by the neck and pound me in the face. Okay, so I want to talk about something that people don't usually talk about. I want to talk about the similarities between Linux and Windows. Muhaha. How dare I, right? There are no similarities between Linux and Windows. Au contraire, mon ami. There are. What are they? Let's talk about them. Okay. Number one, the obvious one, they're both operating systems. That's right. They're both operating systems with the same goal: to allow you, the user, to use your computer. Because without an operating system, you can't use your computer. It's as simple as that. You can try as hard as you want, but without an operating system, that thing is just a box of silicon. I always get in trouble with the pronunciation of that. A keyboard and a mouse, and none of it works. But once you install an operating system, it all works, and you can do your thing. You can get online, you can go shopping, you can get social, you can do some work, whatever you need. Get creative, program something, whatever you want to do, you can do it because you have an operating system installed on your computer. And both Windows and Linux are operating systems. Now the difference is one of them's proprietary and one of them's open source. Proprietary being Windows, open source being Linux. What does that mean? Well, that means that if you so choose, you can check out the source code for the Linux kernel, the desktop environments, or just about anything involved in Linux. Look at it, change it, modify it, re-release it, whatever you want. Can't do that with Windows. Okay. What's the next similarity? Well, they both have desktops. They both have desktop interfaces. They both have GUIs, user interface. GUI. Don't you just love that word, GUI? Graphical user interface. They both have them. Now, Windows has one. Pretty much just one. It has Windows. Windows. That's it. Bleh. Linux, on the other hand, has GNOME, KDE Plasma, Mate, Cinnamon, Pantheon, i3, Awesome WM. I know I'm XFCE, LXQT, LXDE. The list goes on. Enlightenment. The list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But the key here is they both have GUI interfaces. So you don't have to use the command line. But speaking of which, there's another similarity. They both have command line tools. That's right. They sure do. You can open up the command terminal in Windows, type your commands, and you can open up your terminal window in Linux and type your commands, and Windows even has PowerShell. So Linux is not the only one with a terminal. Even Mac OS has a terminal. And now even Android has a terminal. The only one left out is what? iOS? Does iOS have a terminal? I don't know. I haven't used iOS in years. Okay, so both operating systems, both have GUIs, both have terminals and command line interfaces. What's next? Well, here's a cool one. On both Windows and Linux, you can download a binary installation file, double click it, and install an application. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. Now, sometimes on Linux you might have to give that downloadable file permissions to execute, but like in KDE and GNOME, especially GNOME, there's a little helper application called Eddy. I think it's on Ubuntu, it's Eddy. And you double click that .deb file, and Eddy will open and install it it'll give you the option to install it. So you don't even have to use the command line to install downloadable binary files. On Windows, it's the same thing. You'll download the .msi or the .exe, double click it, and boom, you're on to the installation wizard. They're both the same. Both the same. Now, this leads me to the next similarity. And this comes with an asterisk. I'll tell you what the asterisk is in a minute. They both have GUI, there's that word again, package managers. That's right. They both have app stores. You can go to the Microsoft, I think it's called the Microsoft App Store. I don't remember what it's called. Microsoft Store. I haven't used Windows in so long. But yeah, open that up, search for the application you want, click install, boom, you're done. Guess what? You do the same thing in Linux. Open up GNOME software or KDE Plasma Discover or any given app center, search for the application you need, and blammo, you can install it. Now, here's where the asterisk comes. Number one, Linux did it first. Linux did it first before Apple. They did it before Android. They did it before iOS. They did it first. For example, the Synaptic Package Manager, which I've used for a very long time. It's not my default, but it's been around longer than any of the other package managers, or not package managers, but the other GUIs. And it's always been such that you can open it up, search for an application, and click install. And it's the other thing is, the other part of that asterisk is that with the Linux package manager GUIs, the modern ones at least, kind of have to leave out Synaptic on this, but they also can include Snap and Flatpak support baked in. What does that do? Well, so from one single GUI, you have the ability to install the default package manager files, which could be .deb or .rpm. And you can also install Snap packages, Flatpak apps. So essentially, you have 3 different types of apps you can install from the Linux Package Manager GUI versus Windows has 1. And then I don't think yet that there's a Linux Package Manager that has app image support baked in. It'd be really nice if they did, because that would just add even more possible applications you can install from Linux. So what other similarities are there? Well, they both support peripherals. You can install a printer on both Linux and Windows. You can install a new sound card on both. Now, one of the differences here, that at least in my experience, is that on a lot of times on Linux, it will just automatically detect the hardware. And if there's an open source driver for that hardware, it'll automatically apply it. Now, yes, you can, if you have an NVIDIA card, you can download the NVIDIA drivers and install those. But you have to do the same for Windows as well. So if let's say you're going to upgrade your video card because, I don't know, you want to play some pretty cool games, or you need more compute power for AI or whatever, you could install that new GPU, but you've got to find the drivers for it. You got to install the drivers for it before Windows will recognize it. So it's kind of the same. on both ends. You could get lucky that the OS will detect it automatically and apply an open source driver, or you might have to find the driver. Now, the good thing is that even with printers these days, a lot of times those printers will have Linux drivers that were created by the manufacturer. This is especially true for Brother printers. I have a Brother printer, and there is a Linux driver for it. I didn't have to use the Linux driver because Pop! OS discovered the printer automatically, and I was able to use it right out of the box. So peripherals work with both operating systems. You can sort of kind of customize the Windows GUI. Really not so much. I mean, you could apply a theme to it, I suppose. And there might be third-party apps you could install. Like on Mac OS, one of the features I've always liked about a window manager is the ability to shade a window. If you've never experienced that, like on Enlightenment, you can double-click the title bar of a window, and the window will shade up into the title bar. So all you have on the screen is your title bar. It's really handy because you could then have a row of title bars, and then, oh, there's the one I want, double-click it, and the window rolls back down. Mac OS had that for a long time, but Apple decided, let's get rid of it. It's a cool feature. Why would you get rid of it? But now you have to pay for a third-party app, and they're kind of expensive in some cases. And I don't know if there's a window shading app that you can find for Windows. And honestly, I don't even, there used to be a long, long time ago, there were third-party kind of window managers that you could add to Windows to get kind of a different UI. I don't know if you can do that anymore. But with Linux, on the other hand, you can customize the UI to do whatever you want, especially like with XFCE and KDE. There's all sorts of customizations you can do. On that front, they're similar, but Linux obviously vastly excels at them. You can also, if you want, you could install things like the Apache web browser or Nginx on both instances, and even serve up a website from your desktop if you want. You probably don't want to do that. What other similar updates you could set up? Both operating systems handle updates fairly well, although I will say that Linux is far superior with updates. And one of the reasons for that is most Linux distributions do not require a reboot unless the kernel is upgraded. Now, the exception is Fedora. Fedora now a lot of times will have to apply the updates after a reboot, which is very similar to what Microsoft does. So if you're used to the Microsoft way of upgrading things, Fedora will be very similar. And I don't much care for it because a lot of times I want to be working while the upgrade happens. And generally speaking, with Linux, the Linux operating system, I have never had an instance where I have run an upgrade and during the upgrade I wasn't able to work. So I can always do my thing while the upgrade is happening. Now, on Fedora and Windows, that's not always the case because a lot of times they have to reboot. Now, on the Windows side of things, sometimes that reboot for an upgrade can take a very long time. Fedora, not so much. But I have had instances where a Fedora upgrade reboot did take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. I've had Windows over the years, I've had Windows updates similar to that have taken 20 to 30 minutes. So the Windows updates are considerably longer and not nearly as reliable. Never have I had an instance where a Linux upgrade tanked a desktop. They're just it's always reliable. It always works. But at the same time, you can do things like schedule automatic updates on both of them, so it's kind of handy that way. And if you're prone to forget to run upgrades, it's kind of nice to do the automatic upgrades, especially for security issues, because you want to run those upgrades. I have an alias, a bash alias, that runs update, upgrade, purge, or auto remove, and then refresh for both Snap and Flatpak. So I just type update, hit enter, it asks me for my sudo password, and then it just runs. I do that every day, every morning, and without fail, because updates are, I mean, let's face it, people, updates include security patches, and you always want those security patches installed because it's smart. And that's another thing about Linux that separates Linux and Windows, is that updates happen more frequently on Linux. And I think because of that, that's another reason why the Linux operating system is more stable and secure than Windows, is because it's getting security patches at least weekly and often daily. So you have to take that into consideration. What else? What other similarities? They both have GUI installers. So the installation of the operating system is far easier than you probably can imagine, especially with Linux. It's just a few clicks, typing your name and a password, and you're done. You can install the Ubuntu desktop. I have done it countless times, and from start to finish, I can have it done in about 2 to 5 minutes. I think the Windows installation is longer than that. It's been a while since I've installed Windows, probably since, I don't remember. It's either Windows 8 or 10. No, I think I did a Windows 10 virtual machine on VirtualBox. It was either Windows 10 or Windows 11, and it did take considerably longer than Ubuntu. So that's another similarity. I mean, we can get really kind of granular with the similarities. Like if you compare Windows 11 to, say, KDE Plasma, they both have a bottom panel, or even you can go KDE Plasma, you can go XFCE, you can go certain iterations of GNOME that have used particular extensions like dash to panel or dash to dock. So all of those UIs, like Windows, have a start panel or a bottom panel, a start button, a system tray. They have desktop icons that you can double click to open, that they can open up applications, they can open up files, they can open up URLs. You can define default applications in both. You can install as much software as you need on both, given the constraints of your resources, your system resources. You can monitor system processes on both. There's a single app designed for settings on both. They both have Office suites, they both have web browsers, they both have email clients, they both have graphic applications. They have developer tools. They pretty much have a similar application set, especially in the categories. There are exceptions, like you can't run Photoshop on Linux, but you can on Windows. And the thing is that list of applications that you can run on Windows that you can't run on Linux is getting smaller and smaller by the year. And I have a feeling that at some point they're going to kind of be one-to-one replacements for each other. Preferably people going from Windows to Linux, not Linux to Windows. It's usually when people start using Linux and they discover that, number one, it's really easy and that it's really secure and stable, they tend to want to stay on Linux instead of going, I think I want to go back to the instability and insecurity of Windows. They don't usually do that. And it usually, just like Windows, even if you're migrating from like 10 to 11, it doesn't take long to get acclimated to that desktop. The same thing with Linux. You can use GNOME or KDE Plasma, Pantheon, XFCE, any of Cinnamon Made, any of the desktops, and I would say that within 30 seconds to a minute or 2 minutes, you're pretty much up to speed, because it's like, oh, start menu, click. Oh, Office, okay, LibreOffice, click. Network, Internet, Firefox, click. They both have browsers. They have web browsers, and you probably do 90% of your daily stuff within a web browser. I would say that my daily work is probably 70% web browser, 20% Office Suite, 10% email. Maybe 5% email. No, 5% email, 5% no. Maybe, I don't know. There's a little bit of GIMP in there, so I do some graphic stuff too. So it's a little percentage, but it's daily. So I do all that daily, and I can, and truth be told, I can do all of those things on either one of the operating systems. I can do all my stuff on Windows. I can do all my stuff on Linux. Difference is I choose to do it all on Linux because number one, it's familiar. Number two, it's secure. Number three, it's reliable. Number four, it's incredibly flexible. And number five, it's a far more performant, which is a word we made up in the tech industry. It's a more performant operating system than it is Windows. You can get more out of a Linux operating system on lesser powered hardware than you can on Windows. So, but at the same time, you can install Windows, you can install Linux on Intel or AMD CPUs. Another similarity. So there you go, people. If you are using Windows and you have been thinking about giving Linux a try but aren't quite sure, hopefully now you see that they're really kind of similar. They're just operating systems that want to help you work with your computer. And it's far less challenging than you think to make the jump from Windows to Linux, because it's like, oh, okay, they still kind of do the same things in the same way, just one of them's more efficient than the other. There you go, people. There's your latest Linux 101 with me, Jack Wallen. And it's just Jack Wallen, which is interesting. I've had people mispronounce my last name so many ways. It's like, how? W-A-L-L-E-N. That's it. Wallen. Anyway, thank you so very much for being a part of my world here. I hope that you are having a wonderful week and that your experience with Linux is outstanding. And if you have anything that you would like me to cover in this Linux 101 series, please put it in the comments. I'm glad I read them. I do read them. And if what your idea, if I think your idea is worth talking about, which it probably will be, I'll talk about it. Anyway, thank you very much, and I hope that you and everyone you know and love have a wonderful, wonderful day.